The law of attraction, right?
Yeah, which is part of this.
Part of the secret, right? Law of attraction, that whole thing is like maybe 2 parts of what would be a 5-part process for creating beliefs. It's not complete, which is why a lot of people who do the law of attraction stuff get really fed up with it. Because sitting around going, I'm a millionaire, doesn't make you a fucking millionaire. Hey, surprise, right? But it might change the way you perceive what you're thinking about, what you're focusing on. But there is a way to make yourself a millionaire. It's fucking easy. Easy, easy shit. And I wrote it in the book, and I'm not going to tell you right now, because you motherfuckers are going to have to go back and read it again. In the same way, I talked about making myself hot, attractive, you know? I used that process in the book, and it worked. I use the same thing to make money. I've used the same process for everything. It is how you bend this world around you. It's how you shape your dream state. This world, the dream world, is by changing your beliefs. All beliefs are false. So it's really just about believing bullshit. If you want to change it around you, you just change the world around you by believing something different. That's how easy it is. And that should show you that the beliefs that you currently have aren't real. And the beliefs that you create, the next beliefs that you create, the new ones, they aren't real either. But the world's none the wiser. You know, they still react to you as if that is the case. If you want to attract women, by the end of today, just believe that you're attractive. Believe it with every fucking fiber in your being. And if anyone says otherwise, don't believe them. You know? And go, how would it, if I really thought I was attractive, how would I actually act? I probably wouldn't give a shit about a lot of things. You know? I probably wouldn't care about trying to get someone's attention. If a girl said, fuck you, I'd be like, maybe she's just intimidated. That'd be my natural reaction, right? You know? But if I'm not reacting that way, guess what? I don't believe I'm attractive. And if I don't believe I'm attractive, guess what? No one else does either. Period. That's how it works. You have to believe you are. It doesn't matter what you look like. You know? Until women started responding positively to me after I already believed this, I thought I was fucking ugly as a dog. Well, my personality was. It made me like that, you know? No one was coming up to me and talking to me. No women were attracted to me before that moment. It wasn't like that worked. I mean, I got the on and off girlfriend, you know, in the same way that I would, you know, people would be introduced to me and I would, eventually they'd be friends of mine and I would go out and date them or something and then it would fall apart later and, you know, always the same fucking story. Sounds like sounds familiar probably, you know, to a lot of people in this room because I didn't change that belief. I didn't want to change that belief, you know. I thought that was part of who I was. But you can change it. It's that easy. I know you want it to be hard, but it's not. You know, it's really simple. Don't kick yourself. Of course, it's never too late. But yeah, I would say that the death stuff came back to me recently, but it's been a long time I've known this. Just like I'm telling you now, you're not learning this for the first time, you're remembering this. The stuff I'm telling you, you're remembering it. It's not like you're learning it for the first time. It doesn't feel like you're learning something new, does it? It feels like you're remembering something. Why? Why in your life right now, this thing that I'm saying to you right now, why does it feel like you're remembering it? That's fucking weird. Do you feel like that any other time you learn something new? No. Why is it now that you feel like you're remembering this, that I'm just reminding you? Because you already fucking know it. That's why. You already know that you're going to die. You already know all this stuff is true. This is direct knowledge. I don't need to tell you fucking anything. I'm just reminding you. And if you don't remember, then okay, fine. You can believe that. But I know by the looks in your faces that you remember this. That you're like, oh, fuck. Like, I forgot this. I forgot. That's what it's about. And when you forget, life goes by. Bam. Like that. Every second goes by really fast. You know? Playing the fucking games. You know? I'm playing a different game, that's all. My game is being here and now, you know? And when I win, things change around me. It's a fun fucking game. I like it. And you can play too. That's what you want to do, and that's why you're here. There it is. Again, that's a short answer, Brent. Denim?
When you were talking before about things like changing the character, or that you're not who you think you are,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff along that lines, how do you go about understanding who you actually are?
Well, the best way to do that, really, I mean, it's kind of a weird, it's kind of changing the question is really how you get the answer. It's kind of not the right question, but I mean, that's the right question, but I mean, it just leads to another question, really. how do you know who you really are, right? The real way to answer that is by finding out who you're not. You know what I mean? So anything that can be taken away from you or changed is not you. Let's just make that the rule, okay? If it can be changed, then it wasn't you in the first place, okay? Just keep that. Remember that. And as you go through and you change stuff, try to change everything about yourself. And if you cannot change it, as in it will not change your budget at all, then it must be part of who you really are. But you have to try to change it first, fully, you know? So if you can change it, it wasn't you, all right? That's the easiest way to do that. And you have to be willing to let everything go in order to do that. Because if you don't try to change certain things and you just accept them as being part of who you really are, then you haven't tried to change it, and then you can't know if it really is who you are, okay? Whenever you burn everything, whatever is left is who you are. When you let go of everything you think you are, you know, and you become personality-less, let's say. It might seem like that to you, but it's not actually how it's going to be to everybody else. It just feels like that in your head, you know. Whenever you kill everything about your personality, what's your favorite color? Color? Blue? Okay. No, it's not. Not anymore. You don't have a fucking favorite color. Okay, next. What's your favorite food?
I have one.
You don't have one, right? Even if you did have one, you wouldn't have one, right? It doesn't fucking matter. When's the last time you've been in a fight? Ever?
4 months ago.
4 months ago?
I do MMA, so
You,
sparring a lot.
oh, really? That's hilarious. I didn't know that. Okay. So, okay. So, are you a fighter?
Training, but not like professional. No, I'm not.
Ah, okay. See how it gets more complicated when you leave colors and food?
Yeah.
You know? When you get away from the things that we're little kids about, like colors and food, you start to get the things that you identify as. Are you a fighter? No, you're not a fighter.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Does that mean you're not a fighter? Nope. Doesn't mean that either. If it comes up and someone tries to punch you, are you in a fight? I don't fucking know. Maybe you will. But you don't have to fight if you don't want to. You can get punched in the face. That's your option. Because you're not a fighter, you know, and you're not a pacifist either. It's unidentifying. Unidentify is everything. You're not anything. Don't identify as anything anymore. Question everything. Fucking everything about yourself. Question it all. And whatever's left that can't be changed is you. And when you get there, send me an email.
Are you going to reply?
No. I don't know if I will. It doesn't even matter. But when you get there, you won't even want to fucking email me. I promise. It won't matter. You know, if you do want to email me, then you're the kind of guy who wants to email somebody, and that has to go. So that's what you are. Try that out. Try that on for size and see how much it fucks your life up. You know, it's just going to clear out everything that isn't you. That's what it's going to do. If you want the truth, you'll do it, just like I did it. Tim? If you had to ask a question.
Oh man, my head's exploding already. Man. I don't know.
This is a way I can tell this is going to be a very good program when I start getting stuff like that in the beginning.
Oh, definitely. This program is very different to what I was expecting. I think
Oh shit!
I don't know exactly what I was expecting.
Yeah.
But, like,
We better change. We better go back. Better make it what you were expecting.
yeah. I had to ask a question. Oh man.
You want me to narrow it down for you? So it's easier? Because if I said, think of something,
Yeah.
you'd be like, But if I said, think of something you have to do in the water, you'd be like, swimming.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ask me a question about my life, about the way I think.
Yeah.
Something that you want to know about the way I think, the way I handle certain situations. You know, what would I do in this situation? Or how would I respond to whatever?
I think the good one would be, how have you managed to be able to control your emotions in the moment or whenever you need to the point where you aren't run by your emotions?
Okay. Well, the word control throws me off, but I understand what you're saying. I don't really control my emotions. I just don't feed them energy like you do. whenever you get scared or something, you avoid that fear, and I go straight at it, because if I avoid it, I have to constantly feed the monkey, you know, always and forever. I have to keep doing that, and then there's 10 of them. These are the plates that are spinning, you know, and then there's a 50, and then there's 100,000, and then all of a sudden all my day is just made up of me avoiding shit, you know. So I don't do that. I don't feed them energy. The way that I don't do that, though, the way that man, that's a good question. The first thing I realized this about 20 years ago. I was real little, and I had a friend named Kazimir Niedzwiecz is his name, and he was a Polish student, and he was a Buddhist. And I'd never met a Buddhist before, not like a real one, you know, he was a Tibetan Buddhist. And he said, your emotions are like, we're little kids, so this is hilarious. Your emotions are like children in a grocery store, and you're like their parent, you know? Now you have two ways of approaching your emotions. One is to let them loose in the grocery store and they'll tear the whole thing apart, and you'll have to run around cleaning up after them. And the other way is to say, you stay here and you do this because you are my kid. You're a product of me, I'm not a product of you. This the total reframe, right? It's realizing that your anger and your sadness and your happiness even are all a product of you, not the other way around. They don't affect you, you create them in the first place. That's the first thing you have to realize. And they are there for you to use as tools. Now there are other triggers that will help you along the way. One of those is eye accessing cues. When you look in different directions, you access different parts of your brain. If you don't want to be emotional, don't look down. But that just avoids the emotion for the moment. It doesn't actually solve the ability of what you're talking about. What I mean is, I want you to be able to look down and feel it and direct it into whatever area it's supposed to go into. Now, the best way to do this is to ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? And where is this coming from? And what's the source of this? Always. Especially if it's a negative emotion, but also if it's a positive emotion. Because you can turn anything into a positive emotion if you want. Any negative emotion. Because it's all just energy. I don't want to be like, that's not new agey energy, like woo-woo energy. I mean like calories, right? You're burning these calories and focusing on something, whatever it is. And here was my big question as a kid. I grew up Catholic, like very fucking Catholic, like a altar boy confirmation Catholic. And I had this question eventually that started popping up in my head. It was whenever I realized that my mom told me that gay men have anal sex. This might be strange, but I was like, she told me that gay men have anal sex, and I was like, how is that possible? Like, I didn't even think about that as a kid. You know, I was like, really? Like, so people like that, okay. I didn't know that before. Then I was like, what else do people like? You know? People like getting beaten up in bed. People actually like being physically harmed in bed, right? Well, I realized that. I was like, well, what do you do? What do you do if they're bad? Where do you put them? Hell? They fucking like it. You put them in heaven then? Do they not like that? What the fuck do you do with people who like everything? Well, I guess they fucking are gods. Because they like everything. Because they don't judge whether or not something's bad or good, right? This started tearing down my perception of heaven and hell. I was like, that means that it has to be, the only way I could think of it is that if it's a specific hell for every person. And that's just perception, and that's just this, right? Okay, this is heaven or hell, it's really just a matter of perception. Okay, right? So, emotions, in this way, are just a matter of perception. How you view them. If you look at anger, and you go, oh, I don't like that because, let's say that you said, Josh, you're weak, you're a weakling, right? I might go, well, why is he saying this, you know? First, my immediate reaction now would be like, what's the point he's trying to make? I know you're trying to harm me, but why? I can ask that question, because I don't get wrapped up in believing you, you know? It's not that I'm like, no, I'm strong. Because if you were to say, Josh, you're strong, I would be saying the same fucking thing. I'd be like, why is he saying this, you know? I don't take what you're saying in your opinion as fact at all. Because why? Why would I ever do that? It doesn't make any sense. When has anyone's opinion ever been fact? Ever? In your life? Never. When is your opinion fact? Pfft, I don't know. Probably hardly ever. You know? So why would you take anyone else's? Okay, so there's that. You think I'm something. Say you think I'm weak. I would go, okay, you want me to think that I'm weak probably because you want to harm me, and you think that that's going to harm me, right? So that would mean that you probably think that it's kind of like this. If somebody is like, you know what the worst thing in the world is to be stabbed with needles. Okay, if they really wanted to hurt you, they would, guess what they would do? Get needles out and start stabbing you, right? People tell you exactly what they're afraid of, right? All the time. Does this make sense? So if you were to say to me that I was weak, I would know automatically that you're afraid of being weak. You're afraid of helplessness, you know, of being controlled. And all I'd have to do is turn that right around on you. And then you would be fucking freaked out, right? But how come I'm not affected by it, but you are? Because you're feeding it. You're wondering whether or not it's true when I know it's not true. Emotions aren't true. They're a product of fear, all of them. I'm not saying that, you know, it's bad to have emotions. Of course it's fine. Everything's fine. That's the point. The point is that there is no, this isn't okay. There is no wrong or right. Wrong is in the eye of the beholder. Always. So is right. Right is in the eye of the beholder. So, if you know that, and you really know it, then your emotions are nothing. They don't matter. They're cool, don't get me wrong. It's fun. It's like a roller coaster. But eventually you won't have the fluctuations like you do now, where you're calm and comfortable and relaxed, and then all of a sudden you're thrown into a crazy freak-out zone, you know, where things aren't good and aren't okay. Eventually that won't happen, because you realize now that everything's okay. Either that or everything's wrong. Doesn't matter. It's the same thing, because it's just your perception, and it's just your judgment of what's happening around you. That's all this is. That's all that emotions are. So whenever I started realizing that, not just realizing it, but applying it to my life, when I'd feel an emotion, I would go, okay, this isn't real, but let me feel it, see what's happening. Where is this coming from? My big question was why? Why am I doing this? Why do I feel this way? Why? And I kept asking that question. Whenever I got an answer, I would ask the question again about that, you know, over and over and over, until eventually I came to an answer. And that answer is usually, I don't know, or I'm afraid of X. Whatever I was afraid of, I automatically assumed was true already, and then that freed me. For example, I would run around trying to attract women because I was afraid of being alone. Okay, well, let me just accept the fact or idea that I'm going to be alone forever. No one will ever be attracted to me again, and I will be alone for the rest of my life. Okay, fine. No one will like me. I'm just like a bum to everybody, like totally unattractive, unvaluable. No one wants me, okay? What am I going to do with my life? Well, first off, I'll do whatever the fuck I want, because I won't have anybody to respond to, which will be great, right? But probably I would end up on a beach somewhere in a shack, or maybe not a shack, some random place. Probably somehow get myself a surfboard and probably surf and do kung fu until I died, which might be a couple weeks from now, but it might be when I'm 70 or 90, you know? I don't know, but I would be fucking fine, is my point. If this girl you're talking to doesn't like you, and no girl forever, ever likes you ever again, you're going to be fucking fine, man. It's going to be okay. That's what you don't realize now that you will realize. It's all going to be all right. You know? And the emotion, the energy you're putting into it, is the thought that it's not going to be all right. But you haven't thought about it yet, really. You know? If worse comes to worse, you'll just do whatever the fuck you want to do until you die. Who cares? You really want a woman? Why? Because you've been taught to really want a woman. You didn't choose that. You didn't choose to be attracted to women. It's just what happened to you. Okay, cool, fine. Doesn't mean you're ever going to get one, ever. Or you're ever going to touch another one again. You know? There are no guarantees at all. Just accept that. And when you accept the worst case scenario, that's when you can begin to see things how they really are. You're not afraid of running away from anything anymore. This is how you are free from rejection. Is you accept the worst case scenario. You have this like, constant skeptical look on your face now. It's hilarious. You're like this. You're not doing it on purpose. I think it's just kind of how you sit, but it's funny. Anyway, the point is that when you accept the worst case scenario, you have freedom from it. You're not running away from it anymore. This is what it's about. That's what tonight's fieldwork is about too. Do you guys have a time check over there?
1 o'clock.
1? Okay, great. We're still good. But we are going to break for lunch soon, though. Probably 1 Probably now, actually, after this. And then we'll get the rest after lunch. And then.
We have this room all day.
Oh, we do great.
There's no time limit.
Oh, wow.
They're supposed to be, but they're not going to kick us out.
They're supposed to be, but meh, that doesn't really matter. Okay. It is, yes. We just need to show them that. Like, look, man, time doesn't exist. So we can't be past our time limit, man. Think about it. I'm going to go back in here. Anyway, so that is a very good question. It's not about compartmentalizing your emotions or anything like that. I used to think it was about that, you know. It's about understanding them, revealing them, shine the light on them, figure out what's really there, man. Because something is at the core of them, and I guarantee you, at the core of everything you're feeling that's drastic is fear, or escape from fear, which is usually what happiness is, avoidance of fear. And the more fear you get rid of in your life, and by the way, at the core of every fear is a belief. This is what's crazy. Every time you start to face a fear, meaning that when you face a fear, you don't fight it. That's not how it works. You fight your way to it, and when you get to the fear and you see it and it's right in front of you, you fucking roll over on your back. And you go, I give up. That's how you fight fear. It isn't what you think. Being a warrior isn't about fighting. Being a warrior is about surrender. You can ask anybody who's done this, and you've done it before. You don't kill the boogeyman, I promise. The boogeyman can't be killed. The boogeyman is you. You just let go. That's what you do. Fighting and thinking you need to fight and thinking that that's what masculinity is your delusion. It's not about fighting. You might fight your way to it, you know, but how many people in here have skydived? 4 people? When you stand on the edge of that plane and you're looking down and you know you're going to jump, how do you feel? Like a warrior? Fuck no. You feel like you're about to piss your pants. It's not even about like whether or not, I mean, it's the first time especially. I'm not sure if you've done it more than once, but the first time, you don't know you're going to survive. You don't know that chute's going to open. You don't fucking know. You surrender. That's how you get out that door. Not fighting. You ever seen someone fight their way out of a plane? It's like this. It's fighting to stay in the plane. You don't beat the fear. You can't fight it. It's you. It's you. You're the fear. That's the whole fucking point. You guys have seen Fight Club, and you've seen The Matrix, and you've seen lots of these movies. They're all about this. All of it's about this. At the end of the movie, who's the fucking bad guy every time? The main character, and all of his fear, or everything that his fear represents, is the bad guy. That's what happens. And how does he win? Surrender. Fucking surrender. How does Neo stop the bullets? He just surrenders. He dies. You know what Ed Norton's character's name is? Who said that? You? He doesn't have one. Why?
Doesn't exist.
Because he's you. Do you get that? And guess who I am? Tyler Durden. But not really. I just represent Tyler Durden to you. I'm the part of you that wants to hear the truth and that wants to say the truth. That's what Tyler Durden is. At the end of the movie, who does Ed Norton become? Tyler Durden. He stopped fighting. That gun isn't in your hand. The gun's in my hand. Right? That's the point of the fucking movie. Do you get that? Anyway, the thing that you're feeding, the fear, is you. It's just you. There's nothing outside of you. It's all inside. And it eats at you and it owns you until you overcome it and you let it go. The thing you're afraid of is that, well, it's the unknown. At the end of the day, the only fear you really have is fear of no self. No self. That's your fear. Because you don't know what it's like to not be something. Fear of non-existence, which is what represents death to you, right? Fear of death. But there's something beyond death. I mean, you can not be afraid of death. Like the act of dying, it's not about that. It's about what happens. What happens next? What happens next when you're dead? What happens next? How do you exist when you're not there? What happens? Fuck, you don't know, do you? If you want to know what happens to you after you die, you can only die, right? But if you want a little taste, I can suggest something for you. Holotropic breathing. That's what I would suggest for you, without going in any drugs, because there's plenty of drugs you can do that make you feel like you're fucking dying. Holotropic breathing is basically controlled hyperventilation. You start to hyperventilate, your body releases something called catecholamines. I was talking about this earlier, which is adrenaline is one of those. Eventually, those catecholamines build up and they start to fight down the wall around what's called your pineal gland, which is a tiny gland about the size of your pinky fingernail in the center of your brain. This gland produces melatonin, which allows you to go to sleep at night, makes you tired. It also produces a compound called dimethyltryptamine. Dimethyltryptamine, when it released into your body, into your brain, takes you through the death process. It's the out-of-body experience death drug. That's what it is. When people see the light at the end of the tunnel, guess what? DMT, dimethyltryptamine. That's what they're experiencing. This chemical in your brain only releases when you're born, in deep sleep, when you're totally knocked the fuck out, and when you die. And you're only aware of it whenever you die. And if you want to experience what that's like, pick up holotropic breathing and do it. You know? It's freaky. There are other ways too. DMT is in everything, and you could, you know, it's fucking illegal, so don't do this. Don't do this. But if you were to break the law, you might inhale it or drink it in ayahuasca, which is not illegal in Peru. You know? You can do an ayahuasca journey if you want to feel what it's like to die. And don't fucking come to me telling me you think you know what it's like either until you've done it, because you fucking don't. You don't know what it's like. It's not something you can handle. It's not, dude. It's everything you can't handle. There are things out there that scare the shit out of you. Go toward them. All of them. That's how you let go. Okay? The things that scare you, you have to face. Until nothing scares you anymore. And then you're free. Free from your emotions, yeah. But then they become the spice of life. You know, the emotions. Instead of, you know, the oppressor, which is what it feels like. So we're going to take a break for lunch. If we all survive, we'll come back. If we all want to. So it's 1:15 now, maybe?
Yep.
So why don't we come back, why don't we do a 2:30, and then we'll leave for the day game exercise at around what? Oh, by the way, you're going to love this. It's dark, it's light out to like 10 p.m. Isn't that fucking amazing? I was like, yes! So we can, that's great news, because the problem with doing stuff during the winter is that day game is short-lived.
It gets dark at 4:30.
Yeah, so people aren't wandering around. So we'll say probably around 4 o'clock, we'll go into day game, your day game exercise for the day, and then after that, you'll come back, you'll go into the night game exercise, which is going to be all about rejection. If you're not scared yet, go ahead and start feeling scared. You know, it's better to explore it than it is to ignore it. I'll tell you that, because in that moment, you're going to feel it. It's not about ignoring it. It's about fighting your way to it. Get there. Think about it. Imagine it. Imagine everyone that you talk to, everyone you see rejecting you. You know, imagine me coming up to me for the rest of the day and be like, hey, Josh, be like, fuck you, dude, and turning around. Imagine that, okay? I might do it. If I do, you'll know why, you know? You'll think you know why. But I know this is heavy shit, and the next couple of days, it's not like it's going to get lighter. It'll just be different stuff we talk about, and it'll be things. Right now, I'm undoing all the bullshit you have in your head. That's the beginning. Next, I'm going to put new bullshit in your head, but I'll tell you what's bullshit. It works, and it's how everyone else thinks too. So you'll get that. You know, you'll be able to change your character and everything. But don't think that it's who you are. Okay? As we go through this process, I know it's difficult to do that, but. Again, I just want to say, I can't emphasize enough how I don't matter to you guys. It's not about Josh Pelletier. Don't think about Josh Pelletier. It's not me. It's what I represent. It's the truth, and that's what you want to know. And it's all up to you. It's not about me. So don't give me the responsibility, because it's not mine, but more importantly, don't give me the credit, because that's not mine either. Don't come up to me thanking me for this. I fucked your life up. Don't thank me for that. But it is, and you know it is, going to set you free, and you know that. And I'm going to give you the tools after this to cater to the whole world, however you want it to be, to live the life that you want to. I did it for me. Everyone else that I know that's done it, it works. You know, I know this has been tested. It's obvious, and you can see where it leads now. I know you can. So as this program goes on, I know it'll be nuts, and I know that this is not what you expected. But hey, you know, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't scare the shit out of you, if I didn't show you the truth, if I didn't just not bullshit you. You know? It has to be like this.